Hey listener, are you ready for a deep dive into a world where the sun is your enemy and trust is a luxury you can't afford?
Sounds terrifying. I'm in.
Let's talk— No, I'm Not Human.
Okay.
It's this horror game that throws you right into a scorching apocalypse where survival hinges on one terrifying question. Who is truly human?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
Have you?
Yeah, it's a brilliant premise, isn't it?
Oh, totally.
The world is literally baking under an exploding sun and you're holed up in your home,
Right.
forced to make impossible choices about who deserves shelter.
Yeah.
But here's the twist that chills you to the bone.
Yeah.
Hidden among the desperate survivors are these uncanny doppelgangers.
Okay.
These visitors, as the game calls them.
Okay, yeah, I've got to admit, the idea of these visitors hiding in plain sight,
Mm-hmm.
that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even begin to tell them apart from actual humans
Right.
when everyone's on edge, desperate, and facing the end of the world?
That's the genius of the game's design. It preys on that primal fear of the unknown,
Oh, for sure.
that creeping paranoia that whispers, what if you can't trust your own eyes?
Oh, God.
Imagine you're peering through your window,
Okay.
the sun beating down mercilessly,
Yeah.
and you see a figure approaching. Their silhouette looks human,
Uh-huh.
but is there something off about their movements?
Oh.
The way they hold themselves?
Ugh, just thinking about it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
It's like that classic horror trope,
What's that?
the uncanny valley amplified 1,000-fold.
Oh, yeah.
You see, what makes these visitors truly terrifying is that they look almost human,
Yeah.
but there's something subtly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Something that sets your instincts on high alert.
Totally.
It's that feeling of wrongness, that something isn't quite right,
Oh.
that truly gets under your skin.
Exactly. And the game's interface plays into that unsettling feeling you're in your home,
Okay.
which has this familiar 3D feel.
Yeah.
But then when you interact with the room or the outside world, it shifts to this stark, almost voyeuristic 2D perspective.
Interesting.
It's like you're constantly watching, observing, searching for any clue that might betray these visitors.
Right, and it creates this incredible tension.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly on edge.
Yeah.
Never quite sure if what you're seeing is real or just a trick of your panicked mind.
Exactly.
So how does the game actually guide you?
Oh, yeah.
Are there like cheat codes or some sort of visitor detector we get?
Not quite. It starts with these subtle visual cues, almost like subliminal messages designed to make you question your sanity.
Okay.
Maybe a character's eyes linger a little too long,
Okay.
or their smile seems just a tad too wide.
Okay.
It's enough to plant the seed of doubt,
Yeah.
to make you wonder if you're seeing things or if something truly sinister is lurking beneath the surface.
It sounds like the game is a masterclass in psychological manipulation,
It is.
making you doubt yourself every step of the way.
Yeah.
And this is all before we even get to the actual gameplay, right?
Right. The gameplay itself is divided into these two distinct cycles.
Okay.
Day and night. During the day, it's all about gathering information.
Okay.
You'll talk to potential shelter seekers, observe their behavior,
Right.
and try to piece together any clues that might reveal their true nature.
Okay.
It's like a tense social puzzle where every interaction could have life or death consequences.
This is like a detective story crossed with a survival horror set against the backdrop of a scorching apocalypse.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Right. Right.
But the sun's still going supernova.
Right. Yes.
So nighttime must be when things get really intense.
Absolutely. Nighttime is when you have to make those gut-wrenching decisions based on the information you've gathered.
Oh, wow.
Who do you let in?
Right.
Who do you turn away?
Yeah.
And can you live with the consequences of your choices?
It sounds like every decision is a gamble, every encounter a potential trap.
It is.
So how do you even begin to make those choices?
Oh.
Does the game eventually give you some concrete way to identify these visitors?
It does, but in a way that keeps you constantly on edge.
Okay.
As the game progresses, these official sources, like news reports and a FEMA-like organization, start broadcasting specific signs to watch out for. It starts with something seemingly innocuous.
Okay.
Perfect white teeth.
Hold on. Perfect white teeth.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Uh-huh.
How am I supposed to separate the visitors from the folks who just have a good dental plan?
Right.
This is starting to feel less like a survival guide and more like a recipe for paranoia.
And that's exactly the point. The game feeds on that paranoia, forcing you to scrutinize every detail, every interaction. You start questioning everything.
Oh, God.
Are those teeth naturally that white?
Uh-huh.
Is that smile a bit too wide?
Oh, okay.
Is there something predatory lurking behind those seemingly friendly eyes?
This game is messing with my head already, and we haven't even gotten to the other signs.
Right.
Tell me it gets easier, please.
Well, let's just say the official signs get progressively stranger and more unsettling.
Oh.
And remember, the game never explicitly confirms if these signs are 100% reliable.
Right.
It leaves you wondering, are these real indicators or just misinformation designed to sow chaos and distrust?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't get easier.
Oh, no.
The next sign they introduce is dirt under the fingernails.
Dirt under the fingernail.
Now, in a normal situation, you might just think someone needs a good scrub, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But in this apocalyptic hellscape where hygiene is probably the least of your worries,
Right.
this seemingly insignificant detail takes on a whole new level of creepiness.
Oh, we get it.
Yeah.
It plays into that fear of the other.
Yeah.
The idea that these visitors are somehow less than human,
Right.
marked by this primal dirtiness.
Uh-huh.
Like, they might be able to mimic our appearance,
Yeah,
but they can't quite hide their true nature.
exactly. And it forces you, the player,
Okay.
to become hyper-aware of every detail, every little imperfection.
Yeah.
You're examining hands looking for any sign of this telltale dirt, all while the sun is blazing overhead.
And the clock is ticking.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got perfect white teeth, dirt under the fingernails.
Uh-huh.
What's the final nail in the coffin of my sanity?
Yeah.
What's the third sign they throw at us?
This one is particularly unsettling: bloodshot eyes.
Wait, seriously? Bloodshot eyes? I mean, wouldn't everyone's eyes be bloodshot in this scorching heat?
Right.
It seems like a pretty unreliable indicator.
Yeah.
Even for a game that's intentionally messing with your head.
That's the brilliance of it.
Okay.
The game throws you this curveball,
Right.
this sign that could be easily explained by the environment.
Yeah.
But the doubt lingers.
Oh, God.
Are those bloodshot eyes just a result of the sun, or is there something more sinister at play?
Right.
It preys on your fear,
Mm-hmm.
making you question even the most basic observations.
Okay, so you're in this pressure cooker of an apocalypse,
Yeah.
trying to sift through these vague, unreliable signs, all while making life or death decisions.
I can only imagine the kind of toll it would take on your mental state.
It's intense.
Do the YouTuber whose playthrough we're looking at
Yeah.
ever talk about how the game made them feel?
There were definitely moments where the game's atmosphere got to them.
Okay.
Remember that scene where they discovered a pile of burned corpses?
Oh, yes.
The way those bodies were just heaped together,
Uh-huh.
blackened and contorted by the heat.
Right.
It was a truly visceral and disturbing image.
Ugh. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You could practically feel the heat radiating off those corpses, the sense of desperation and violence that must have preceded their deaths.
Yeah.
And the YouTuber's reaction was so raw, so genuine,
Uh-huh.
it made the whole scene even more chilling.
It's a testament to the game's power to evoke genuine horror.
Yeah.
Not just through jump scares or gore,
Right?
but through atmosphere symbolism and the psychological weight of your choices.
Speaking of choices, let's talk about the endings.
Okay.
We mentioned there are multiple ways this story can play out, right?
Yes, and each ending reflects the weight of the player's decisions, the consequences of their actions, and the way they navigated this world of paranoia and suspicion.
Right.
For example, there's one ending that's particularly heartbreaking, the isolation ending.
Okay, tell me about that one. The name alone sounds pretty grim.
It's the ending you get if you choose to trust no one.
Okay.
Driven by fear and paranoia, you turn away every shelter seeker convinced they're all visitors in disguise.
Oh, wow.
But here's the tragic irony: your tenants,
Yeah.
the people you've been living with, start to fear you.
Oh, God.
They see your isolation, your distrust,
Yeah.
and they become convinced that you are the visitor.
Oh, wow, that's a terrifying thought.
Right.
Being ostracized by the very people you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
All because of your own fear.
Uh-huh.
So what happens? Do they kick you out?
Exactly. They confront you, demanding you leave.
Oh, no.
And as you step out into the scorching sunlight alone and abandoned, the realization hits you. You've condemned yourself to a horrific death.
Ugh. That's brutal.
Yeah.
It really highlights the game's message about the dangers of isolation.
Yeah.
How fear and distrust can ultimately lead to self-destruction. It's like a cautionary tale about the importance of human connection, even in the face of unimaginable terror.
Right. It's a reminder that even in the apocalypse, we need each other.
Yeah.
But the game also explores the opposite extreme,
What's that?
the danger of misplaced trust.
Okay.
That's where the optimistic dream ending comes in.
Yeah, the one where you think you've won,
Yeah.
but you've actually played right into the visitor's hands.
Precisely in this ending.
Okay.
You've carefully scrutinized every shelter seeker using the signs,
Uh-huh.
trusting your gut,
Right.
and you believe you've successfully sheltered only humans.
Okay.
You feel a sense of accomplishment, of having triumphed over the odds.
Yeah.
But then the ending hits you with a chilling twist.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. What's the twist?
It turns out you've been assimilated by a visitor.
Oh my God.
The ending suggests that they were playing you all along,
Wow.
subtly manipulating your perceptions,
Right.
leading you to make the choices that would ultimately ensure their victory.
Whoa, that is messed up.
Yeah.
So even when you think you're being careful, even when you think you've won,
Uh-huh.
the visitors still find a way to get you.
It seems that way.
It's like there's no escaping their influence.
That's the terrifying implication. It speaks to the insidious nature of these creatures, their ability to blend in, to manipulate, to exploit our trust. And it leaves you wondering, even if you survive the apocalypse, have you truly survived if you've become one of them?
Okay, so we've got the isolation ending, the assimilation ending.
Right.
Are there any other endings we should be terrified of?
There are a couple of others that highlight the constant danger and uncertainty of this world.
Okay.
For instance, there's an ending where you're killed by a visitor you mistakenly sheltered. A stark reminder that even the most careful scrutiny can fail.
Ugh. It's like you can never truly know who to trust,
Yeah.
even when you think you've figured it all out.
Right. And then there's an ending where FEMA,
Okay.
the organization that's supposed to be helping you,
Right.
takes away a human, potentially leaving you isolated with a visitor.
Oh, no.
It's a chilling reminder that even those in authority might not be who they seem.
Okay. I'm officially paranoid now.
Right.
Every ending is like a punch to the gut,
Yeah.
highlighting the different ways this apocalypse can break you physically and psychologically.
Uh-huh.
It's like the game is saying, hey, you might survive the sun, but can you survive your own choices,
Right.
your own fears?
Exactly. And that's what makes No, I'm Not Human more than just a horror game.
Totally.
It's a reflection of our own anxieties, our own capacity for both compassion and cruelty,
Right. Yeah.
all magnified by the extreme circumstances of a dying world.
It's like holding up a mirror to humanity, showing us the best and worst of ourselves under the most extreme pressure.
Precisely. And it doesn't offer any easy answers, only difficult choices.
Right.
And the chilling realization that in the face of such existential dread, the line between hero and monster can become terrifyingly blurred.
It's just crazy how every choice you make just has such weighty consequences.
It really does.
It's like you said, it's like holding a mirror up to humanity.
Yeah.
Seeing like what we would do in the worst possible situation.
Exactly.
And it's not just the endings that get to you in No, I'm Not Human.
Right.
It's that constant sense of dread.
Yeah.
That feeling like the walls are closing in, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Even when you're safe inside your home, the sun is this oppressive, inescapable force.
Yeah.
A constant reminder that time is running out.
Oh, for sure. It's almost like the sun becomes a character itself, this
Totally.
malevolent entity that's slowly baking the world alive.
Yeah.
And the way the game uses sound design
Mhm.
to amplify that sense of dread with the constant hum of the heat,
Oh my God.
the crackling of fires in the distance.
Yeah.
It's truly masterful.
Yeah, there's one sound in particular that stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
That low, guttural growl
Okay.
that sometimes echoes in the background.
Yeah.
It's never explained,
Right.
but it's just so unsettling.
Yeah.
Like something primal and dangerous is lurking just beyond your perception.
It's a perfect example of how the game uses ambiguity to enhance the horror.
Totally.
It leaves you wondering,
Right.
is that growl just a figment of your imagination,
Yeah.
a symptom of your growing paranoia?
Right.
Or is it something real, something you should be afraid of?
And then there's the symbolism,
Oh, yeah.
which adds this whole other layer of creepiness.
For sure.
Like that recurring image of the pale, creepy visitor holding a severed head.
Uh-huh.
It's such a stark, disturbing visual,
Yeah.
and it's never fully explained, which makes it even more unsettling.
Right. Is it a trophy?
Yeah,
A warning?
right.
A symbol of the visitor's power?
Right.
The game leaves it open to interpretation,
Mm-hmm.
which allows our own imaginations to run wild.
Right.
And that's where true horror often lies, in the spaces between what we know and what we fear.
I remember that line from the fortune-telling sequence.
Yeah. What was that?
The dead will come and tell, and you will not be believed.
Oh, God.
It's such a chilling line.
Yeah.
And it perfectly captures the game's core themes of distrust and paranoia.
It also foreshadows the player's own potential fate, doesn't it?
Oh, totally.
To be mistaken for a visitor, to be isolated, to be driven to madness by the very fear you're trying to escape.
It's like it's inevitable in this world.
Yeah.
No, I'm Not Human is more than just a horror game, wouldn't you say?
It is.
It's a social commentary,
Uh-huh.
a terrifyingly plausible exploration of what could happen when society breaks down, when trust evaporates,
Right.
and when fear becomes the driving force behind every decision.
Absolutely. It asks us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature.
Totally.
Are we inherently good, capable of compassion, even in the darkest of times?
Yeah.
Or does fear inevitably bring out the worst in us?
Right.
Turning neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend.
So, listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into No, I'm Not Human,
Okay.
we leave you with a question that the game itself poses. If you were in this world,
Yeah.
facing the scorching sun, the encroaching visitors, the breakdown of society,
Yeah.
how would you decide who to trust?
Right.
What signs would you cling to?
Yeah.
Would you prioritize your own survival, or would you risk everything to help others?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It is.
The real horror isn't just the monsters we face,
Right.
but the monsters we might become.
And that's the brilliance of this game. It stays with you long after you finish playing,
Totally.
forcing you to confront not only the darkness within the game, but also the darkness within ourselves.
We highly recommend checking out No, I'm Not Human, if you dare.
I second that.
But be warned, listener, it's a deep dive into the heart of human fear.
Oh, yeah.
And it might just leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself.
For sure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and maybe keep a close eye on your neighbor's teeth.